everybody, and welcome to today's live stream. Once again, we're gonna have a look at the 11-Second Club competition. In case you don't know what that is, the 11-Second Club competition is a wonderful competition for animators where each month we are giving an audio snippet. Usually a piece of dialogue from a TV series or a feature film movie, and any animator can animate whatever they want to this dialogue snippet. It's a very fun competition for anyone who wants to really practice their animation skills. Animators from all skill levels are invited, and we get a bunch of wonderful, awesome entries from all of the different skill levels. The winner of the 11-Second Club competition can win a professional critique from an animation mentor. But of course, you know, there are also other people who would probably like some feedback on their animation. That's one of the big reasons why you do it. They have an excellent forum at the 11-Second Club, a great community. You can write comments under the competition entries. And today's live stream is my contribution. I want to give inputs on all kinds of 11-Second Club entries. This time is a little bit different because we are actually in the voting period of November's 11-Second Club, which means the winner has not been determined yet. We just gonna see a bunch of random competition entries to vote on and give them a rating. And I'm excited because, you know, that means we're getting all kinds of different animation styles, all kinds of different skill levels, and probably a lot of cool things to talk about. So that's what we are going to do today. If you are interested in that, you can of course also still vote on the 11-Second Club for November and see what amazing entries you find. Again, we're gonna focus on learning stuff for our own animation. We're gonna see what great ideas we can steal and what things to avoid that don't work as optimal as they probably should work. So let's I need to do a couple clicks here so to make sure that the everybody is notified on social media that we are streaming right now. So let's double check this. I'm gonna post it now. What can happen? So what's going on in the chat? Lots of awesome people already there. Hello, Dylan. Hello, Michaela. Nice to see you, Ariva. Black Pepper. Hello and welcome. So let's dive into the 11-Second Club animations of November. Do a little bit of voting and rating here and see what we can learn for our own animations.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Even if I'm not.
Start this one over.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Okay, interesting. I do like the accents that are being hit, the words that are being stressed. Hello, Hilly. Hello, Legends Animation Studio. Nice to see you all.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is.
Okay, so couple general things. If you've watched my critiques a couple times, you already know that I do not like the constantly moving camera. That's a thing, you know, that can very easily happen in 3D. Lots of starting 3D animators really love the freedom of doing whatever you want with the camera. This is actually, you know, not as bad as it could be. It's very slow motion. I personally don't like slow moving cameras like this because it's a very strong and notable cinema device that if you're doing it like this, I think you should have a really good reason why you're moving your camera like this. But the other thing is also why I think it's a bit problematic in an animation competition is because it can muddy your animation. Like, this is very hard to critique. Like, if I want to give any tips on like the arcs and I want to draw over it, I can't really because, you know, the camera is constantly moving and constantly... Oh, I need to plug in my drawing tablet. And, you know, if I want to trace an arc or something, I can't. I can't judge the qualities of the arc so well because of the constantly moving camera. And, of course, the moving camera also hides animation mistakes, which I think is why a lot of people, especially beginners, opt for a camera move because, you know, you can hide some quirks in the camera motion. So, nice to see you, Oreo. Yeah, I haven't been streaming last week. I'm so sorry about that. I'm trying to get into the weekly habit again. Yeah, Dylan, we're doing animation 11 Club critiques. Hello, Insane. So one thing that I really can judge is the poses for this one. And while I do like the decisions from an acting standpoint, I think, you know, it makes sense to have this, like...
Even if I'm not real?
Like, if you have a dialogue snippet that says, even if I'm not real, that's a very decent gesture to do the eye with the fingers to the chest. Good acting choice, really nice. Let's switch off the music for now, so we can focus on the animation. This moment is, yeah, I mean, that works. I think we're gonna see this in a couple of them. Like, this moment is, that's just an acting choice that makes a lot of sense, right? I would be careful with anything pointing. I think I've told this anecdote too. Like, pointing is a very cliche pose to be like this moment or this, or I want to say something like, it's very easy to make a pose where the character is like lifting their finger or pointing or something like that. And one time I had a comic, I read a comic book where it's like, something's bothering me about this comic. Like, the artwork isn't really bad, the writing is okay, but something just feels weird about this comic. And then it hit me. It was that in almost every panel or every other panel, there was a character pointing. Like, whenever they were like, wait, I got to say something. Hey, there were always, like, the default pose was with the finger extended. And I bet you the artist didn't realize that about their artwork, that they chose that pointing pose so often. Which, you know, it's a pose to default to very often for so many things that I think it's very important to use it sparingly and use it in moments where it really matters. Like, I guess this moment is big enough to warrant a point. But, you know, be careful with this, especially in 11 Club entries and just 11 seconds. Sometimes I see the point being done twice, like pointing, doing something else, and pointing again. Twice in 11 seconds, it is not good. But, of course, just as a sketchbook says, can confirm. Yeah, so not being said like that this is totally bad, I just, you know, that was just a general thing about pointing. Very interesting question from Hilly. Is that an issue with other poses? Let me think. I mean, I definitely noticed it with pointing the most. I guess anything that is very literal. Like, if it's the first thing that comes to your mind, it's probably the most cliche. Like, if you say, stop! And you have the just the hand lifted to say stop, then that's probably a cliche pose. Sometimes you want that, because it's the most obvious, the strongest sometimes choice in terms of readability. But it could also be the most boring choice, and you could think about it a little bit more. But to say it very harshly in general terms would probably be the first pose that comes to mind is probably not the one you should go with unless you have a really good reason, unless you feel really strongly about it for this specific accent or moment. That would probably make sense. Just the sketchbook says, pointing is rude. Yeah, that's the other thing. Oh boy, am I talking? Like I see that I'm peaking. I'm talking louder than usual. Apparently, gonna get it very amped up about the pointing here. Let me see if this is a setting that I still need to change. I'm of course always between streams trying to adjust things. Okay. So let's
Even if I'm not real,
watch this again.
this moment is.
Love the anticipation though.
Real. This moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
I'm not sure about this last gesture. Like another general thing about this, it's very pose to pose, which isn't a bad thing. If I am a pose to pose guy. I love pose to pose animation. But like there are things like when he's going behind his back for the rose, this anticipation takes a lot of our attention. Like he goes into the anticipation pose here and then does another anticipation before grabbing it. Like hits one pose and then a second pose just for the anticipation. That drags a lot of attention to it, which I'm not sure this deserves. I mean, in most cartoons, we know characters pulling stuff from their back. Like, it's not something that you need to put a lot of attention on, I think. I mean, it's a cute detail that he has the rose there. I think that's kind of nice. And then it's there right from the beginning. You can already see it peeking out there, which is kind of cute because, often cartoon characters drag it from nowhere. So I think that's kind of nice. But the attention it gets here by this double anticipation pose and another pose is a bit much. And then in the end, you kind of come into like this pose clatter. Like, this is kind of cool. Like, okay, for a magical gesture, yeah, sure. Why not have this, like, all limbs fanned out, following it with your eyes, both characters following it with their eyes, which is a great way to direct attention. But then you immediately dissolve it for this thinking pose, which is also a cliche pose, very strong cliche pose. And then you go into another cliche pose, which is like the arms crossed, for something that I'm not sure. Like, what is he saying at this moment?
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
I think this now, for the first time, is a thing that I would debate on the grounds of acting. Help a person they love is a very reaching out, help a person they love. And he means himself and that other person, as we saw with the rose in this case. I think it's very clear that this person is wanting to help that other person. I would opt for something more reaching out than this stabilizing little guarded pose. Now, crossed arms are not necessarily always guarded, but they do have a very stable, static, not the most dynamic, and for some people, not the most inviting kind of pose. So I'm not sure I would put this at the end of a help offer. Like, a help offer feels more open to me, so... Yeah, I'm not sure about that, and also not sure about the thinking pose. Like, why do you really need that? The person already made up their mind. Like, they did already the reaching out, and they're now explaining, like, this moment is real, and I accept the help. Like, they're not, like, thinking about how do I convince this person. I feel like that was a beat earlier, before the scene even started. So, I think you might even just stop it with that magic pose. With that one, and then just build on it. Be like they just made the rose, and then maybe like pulling it to their heart, or like just a variation of it, like just dropping it a little, and then maybe come like the other hand was in the back, and maybe the other hand could come forward. There you have a little bit of contrast between the poses. Maybe could have been nice. of course, with advice like this, like, hey, why don't you just use a different pose? We are on this territory where, like, it might make the animation better, it might not make it better. But yeah, I think less poses, and then, the pose to pose could go a little bit slower. I think that would make this animation more focused. Yeah. Yeah, just a sketchbook does have a point about the crossed arms. Gives the line an obstinance, though, like he means it and don't question him. Yeah, that could work. That could work. Like, I'm gonna help you, whether you want it or not. Like, yeah, that is a dimension that you can bring to the table. Interesting, yeah. I'm not sure it fits the voice in that moment so much, but that's a really good point. And I think things like that are super interesting. When you have body language that feels kinda contradicting, yeah, I mean, that could be a character. Like, the on the surface, they're all like tough and rough, and but then it turns out they really care for another character. Like, yeah, I mean, that could be a really sweet character, maybe. Yeah, interesting point. Thank you.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now.
Do like, there are offsets there, there are arcs there. There is a lot of technical knowledge here.
This moment is real.
Anticipation, overshoot, some particle, whatever animation here.
What's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Just a bit too snappy, lose the camera motion. So what can we... Yeah, I mean, respectable. Respectable is good. We can give a rating of respectable. People are always criticizing my rating. Next time, I'm gonna pull up an Excel sheet again, and we want to do it more calculated. But today, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna vote from my gut. Yeah. Usually, I feel like the other voters are so strict anyway. I feel like my vote is always, compared to the average, really generous. But yeah. So if you don't agree with my rating, you can rate yourself. Which, is fair. So, next animation.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
That's an interesting one. Because I think this person is a relative beginner, and they're doing some beginner mistakes, and some stuff they do are not beginner mistakes. I feel like this person already understood that it's sometimes important to hold poses.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. I think from a lot of people that I estimate, I don't know this person, obviously. I just assume that they're relatively new. And usually at this stage, like, they're still doing the camera zoom in and the camera fly in. And usually when you are at this stage, you're going to go left, right, and, you're going to do so many poses. And I think it's really good that the person focused on some selected moments for a pose change.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is.
Like, that's fantastic. Important beats. Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Wonderful. A closed, introverted, introspective pose. So, like, this moment is reaching out to the other person, opening it up. Yeah. Nice. Now, here, this is a classic, like, too much going on at the same time. We have the head going down, which also great beat to be like, if I'm not real, this moment is, and then maybe going back to introspection and looking like, what to say next. Like, the instinct of tilting the head down could work here. Good. But what you shouldn't do is just do that for one pose with no hold. Because what he's doing during the camera move is like the head goes down and immediately up again. This is not how that would happen. If you would have an introspective moment, like, what do I say next? It would be like, this moment is. You would put down your head, maybe have a little bit of eye darts, thinking, and then put it up. Like, it really needs a beat, really needs a moment to shine, which I'm not sure how much time we have for this beat, actually. But, you know, you shouldn't just dip and go up again. I mean, it might be a bit more keys. Yeah, I think it just dips down and then dips up again. There's no real hold. That could be a little bit more clear. Like, dip down, think, eye darts, dip up again.
This moment is real.
And here is something happening where I think it kind of misses the accent in the dialogue.
This moment is real. Here right now. This moment is real.
Again, it doesn't stay on a pose. It says like this moment and immediately goes further, is real and is still moving after that.
Real.
I mean, for real, it dips down and has a huge ease, but it's not being held. It's not being celebrated as a moment.
It's real.
So what you could do is, this moment is real. Like, this moment is, hold the head up here, is real. Hold the head down here, have like some thinking again. And then you could soften the pose, maybe. But I would put a moving hold, or if you're a beginner, just hold it completely. Just, this moment is real. And just hold it for both of these accents, both of these words. Or only just one of these words, you know. This moment is real. And then really let it hang there and soak in.
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
The eyes are a bit unfocused.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now.
They are trying the thinking eye darts. I think they are feeling it, that they're needed here. It dips down, but you can't really see the eye darts, and I think the eye animation is far too quick, far too slow. It should always be like, dart, hold, dart, hold. That's how it is most of the time. We only have a slow motion in our eyes when we're tracking something. When we're looking at something moving, then we have the eye following. But usually it's just dart, dart, dart for the eyes, and always you hold it for a couple frames, give it this very focused thing. Are there eye blinks in here?
Even if I'm not real,
yeah,
this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love? This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love? It is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more...
Yeah, and then the head is moving with the eyes being focused. Yeah, I think the up and down is what kills it. Like, it makes sense that the eye would be focused on the other character, which, by the way, I don't really have the feeling, because he looks to the other side a lot. Which he could, but then it would be like looking there and then the dart right at the person. And yeah, if you move your head, then you have this effect of the eyes being stationary. Like, that does happen. But I wouldn't do it a lot. Like, the moment you do like left and right and up and down, it looks kind of unnatural. Like, usually it's a focus, and then like there might be a light settle, and the eyes are just fixated on this point. But by the moment you do like all the axes and you reveal that the eyes, especially, you know, in a cartoon style, the eyes are really big, then it looks kind of weird of the eyes being so fixated. These demonstrations. Yeah, I'm not embarrassed to make a fool out of myself. The Carlos is in the house. Jamaica is in the house. Nice to have you in the house.
This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Yeah, good effort. Hold the poses, lose the camera motion, do cuts. If you want to jump closer, do cuts. Think about more about the eye focus, do eye darts. Yeah, just solid effort. Yeah, let's give it. I find the 11-star scale so difficult to estimate. Like, I do like a 5-star system. Because, you know, there's this threshold from going to 2 to 3 stars that I feel like feels very tangible. Where, like, in the middle of the 11-star scale, I'm always like, like, I'm glad that it has the descriptions down here. All right. Let's leave it with that.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Getting a pep talk from a mirror. I like that story idea, you know. If it's, you know, before an important event or something, to imagining yourself giving your mirror image giving yourself a pep talk. That could be a cool story beat.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Yeah, I mean, okay, lip sync, obviously a reduced frame rate.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is.
Yeah. So I think what could, like, there seems to be some construction going on. Despite the flat line art right now, it does feel dimensionally. Like, I like how the foreshortening in the eye when they turn the head. Like, that's nice, that's decent, and you know, the slightly different angles. You can see more of the eye. Like, this is a more frontal angle. Decent. Shoulders are decently wide. So this has been made by a person who did their practice and their studies about anatomy of some kind in anime style. Now, what needs to be done to step this up is some fluidity in the motion. I do like the hand drawings. Yeah. And, you know, to have like this hand, like, it gets a bit muddy with the frame of the mirror, and, you know, you just see that one line for all fingers with that the other fingers making the line thicker, and not sure if this is the most optimal. But I like the idea of, like, this 3-dimensional turn. Like, I like stuff like this in 2D animation because, you know, it shows the hand going from, like, a wide shape to a flat shape being seen from the side. That's a cool angle. And, you know, especially in 2D animation where you don't, like, it's very tempting to always draw hands, you know, as that big square, and think about, like, turning the hand sometimes and have this contrast between, you know, a completely square hand to a very sideways hand. That really opens up that third dimension. Really nice. What I would like to see would be some decent spacing. I want to see some ease, because there's no easing here. The spacings are all very large. Like, there's no ease moment here where, like, they're just about to hit that pose, you know, and maybe one finger is even, like, a bit slower than the others or something like that. Like, you don't have these almost spacings that would make this feel very cushiony, very smooth. So what I would recommend for this person is to plan their animation with the halving method. Like, look up what that is if you don't know, and then just really go in, have your pose, you know, for the hand, going from the hand here to what, you know, whatever that pose ends up to be is, actually I was drawing it backwards, like this one obviously should be going up there. And then, you know, think about your breakdown, and then use the halving method to get your spacings. And then the cool thing is that you can just work from beginning to end, work this off. There was 2 weeks ago a live stream where I animated a head turn using this method. And if we give this hand motion, like, if you want to have a more detailed explanation and walkthrough, you should watch that live stream from 2 weeks ago where I was animating the head turn from start to finish in like 3 hours. Like, let's say this motion starts at 5, then this is 7, 9, 11. We got 13, we got the breakdown here, 15, 17, 19, 21. So you know the length of your motion, and now you can always go in the middle. You can put your onion skin to show you 5 and 21, then go to frame 13 and draw your breakdown. And now that you have that, you can go in the middle of 5 and 13, because 13 now exists. And you can go to 11, and 11 is exactly in the middle of 5 and 13. So you switch on onion skin and draw the middle. Of course, you can do, like, if you want, like, have the perspective change, or you want anything cool to happen during that in-betweening, it doesn't have to be the mathematical center. You can do things, do offsets, make it more interesting. But this is so helpful because you can always go in the middle of things. After you've drawn 11, you can now go between 5 and 11 and draw frame 9. After you've drawn frame 9, you can go between 9 and 5 and draw 7. You know, same on the other end. After you've drawn 13 and 21, you can draw 15. After you've drawn 15, you can go in the middle between 15 and 21 and draw 17, and you can always orient yourself on the drawing that you previously made. So yeah, I want to see some nice easing next time, because yeah, it's just as Sketchbook says, the appeal is nice. Like, there's a very appealing character, like the hair. Like, that's not an easy model to work with these hair spikes. Yeah, that's the anime thing to, you know, this curse of getting the hair right and consistent. And yeah, I just want to see some eases. And you know, if you want to draw on thirds or something, then at least give me eases in a way that, you know, give me a nice breakdown here, and then you could favor the ones, you know, draw frames that are almost there here as favoring frames. That could also work if you don't want to have as much frames to draw. Yeah, but I think that could be a nice step up in this animation quality. So, like the poses, like the character design, like the story setup, just would like to see more eases that can turn this into a fluent motion. Lip sync was decent too.
This moment is right here, right now. This moment is right
like
here.
The offset, like there's a little bit of offset of the shoulders already being in the final position and the head coming up there. There could be a little bit more drag and follow through on the hair.
Right.
There's a little bit of it.
It is.
They could settle a little bit later, or like swing back and forth.
It is. Right here, right.
Is there also, like, are lines just copied? Or are they always redrawn? sometimes they're copied. I advise to always redraw your entire. I know it's tedious. Always redraw your entire character. Don't just copy lines. And it shows especially if you don't do any easing. Like if you have your hair strand exactly the same and you do some nice easing over like 5 frames, 5 in-betweens, and then you're back to a hair spike that you copied from somewhere else, that works. But if you go very low frame rate and you go from copied hair spike to copied hair spike, it does make it look more static. Like if you have more in-betweens, it means you can do more cheating, because the eye doesn't remember after a longer ease that we already had this exact same shape before. So that can make this trick work if you want to not redraw things so much. Next animation.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
What? They ducked into a baby in a comfy chair.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is.
Okay, so I like how it still has like some like, you can feel that this person really enjoyed this assignment. Like there's some charming things here, despite the obvious still crudeness of them just being like stick figures. Which, by the way, if you're gonna draw reduced characters, it's a good idea to practice volumes and stuff like that by, you know, at least having like arm volumes. I think you know, because if you're just doing this, you can do like acting beats and stuff like that, you know, and sometimes this might be just what you want to practice, you know. Sometimes you just do something with a stick figure. There are a lot of awesome stick figure YouTubers that show that you can do very beautiful choreography with just stick figure, very fluent, very awesome animation with just stick figures. So I don't want to say anything against stick figures in general, but if you have like the volume here and you can feel a shoulder, like that's a nice step up. Like one area higher would be to actually construct it from shapes. Like this feels really flat, so I assume what this person didn't do is actually think about you know, three-dimensionality. Where do things go? And I want to direct your attention to this side of the cube here. By doing that, you are finding a 3/4 direction, which helps you to find the exact spot of the neck, because sometimes it's not exactly in the middle. It also helps you to estimate the width of the chest a little bit better in 3D 3D things, 3D space. And this sort of construction forces you to make decisions like this is a shape that's coming towards us because we can see that end of the shape, and that is different from this shape facing away from us, which, you know, it could be facing away from us, and then this other shape, the lower arm, could be facing towards us again. And this will help you to construct perspective correctly and deal with arm foreshortening correctly, because arms do a lot of foreshortening if they come towards the camera. Arms get very small all of a sudden. But this helps you to estimate, like, okay, what is the actual length of the cylinder when it is seen from the side, and what is the length of the cylinder when it's facing away from us or towards us. So constructing a character like this from blocks, even if it still stays this simple, is a really good idea. It can also help you to, for the facial features, if you do a character like this, I really like when you exaggerate 3D. Like you have the eyes following along this plane. Do you see that? Like this feels like it's actually on that sphere. And because of that 3D-ness, the nose, do you see what's happening here? Like here the nose is just in the middle more or less, but here you get a little bit feeling of perspective. And also the mouth, you know, the mouth goes a little bit more in that direction on the left side than it goes to the right, because you have that perspective foreshortening happening on this side. So even if you do a very simple character like this, some basic construction with shapes can make it like just so much sweeter. And you know, you have to draw these lines anyway. You have to draw the nose, the eyes, and the mouth. And if you have to draw it anyway, I would really recommend drawing that extra center line that helps you to estimate the foreshortening a little bit better. It takes a little bit of practice too, but I think it's a really good step up and trains you to think more solid with your 2D animation. So yeah, I think that would be good.
Right here, right now.
Love the tilt. Love that there's like a little bit, like head tilts get so strong. If you have a simplified character, like a stick figure character, and you go like here right now, and you really go into, but you know, for any kind of character animation, I love my head tilts. Like you know, I know that realistically we humans hold our head very stable and straight, but like some actors do this very consciously. Like Jim Carrey is like the master of like the just wonderfully timed head tilt and things like that. It's a little bit of an exaggeration in reality, because you know, in reality we don't throw our head around like that, but just like right here, right now, like going into a head tilt here. That is really nice. Hey Spider Panda, we are looking at 11SecondClub competition entries. And I don't know what software this person was using. To annotate, I'm using Epic Pen to draw on the screen.
This moment is real.
Like the
moment is
building the intensity by just dropping the head.
This moment is real.
That's sometimes, I love that. Like we're gonna see that in some competition entries. Did a lot more with like, you know, going here, going there, and sometimes, you know, right here, right now. Just building on the pose that is already there, holding eye contact. It's such an underrated, strong tool. Right here, right now. And then for now, just going closer, holding the pose, that intensifies it more than a pose change would. It's a weird thing. Like in dialogue animation, you sometimes think like, okay, you need to mark big things with a big pose. But sometimes just holding a previous pose and leaning a little bit forward can be so much more intense than just doing another big pose. It's weird. Like there's this point where sometimes a new pose gives you emphasis, and sometimes it destroys emphasis and tension. So I think that's pretty interesting. Hello, Maria. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome.
Right now, this moment is real.
Really good instinct to like this moment is real and have the head drop.
I mean, what's more
and then the baby not understanding.
real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Yeah. So, film from cinema-wise, it doesn't make sense that the character...
If I'm not real, this moment is.
This slide doesn't make that much sense. Like, if you're sitting on a chair, your hip is really static. Like, your hip is here, and then when...
This moment is.
It doesn't make sense that, you know, the chair, that would be a big thing. And we're already focused on like the finger point, the finger onto the table kind of thing. I would just keep the character over there. What I would do instead is I would cut a lot closer. like, this is not something that you would see in a film unless you have a reason. Like, I don't know, maybe in a Wes Anderson movie, we would have it all dead center and the character looking exactly into the camera. And, you know, there would be a bunch of, like, set building, like a clock here and you know, plans or something telling us something about the character. And it would be like a postcard slapped into your face. Like, that could be a route that you could go to if you want to play with it like that. But the very classic cinematography would be this, you know, rule of thirds kind of thing. Like, you would put your picture in segments of 3. Like following the golden ratio, it's not exactly 3, but rule of thirds is something that is used a lot. And then have the points of interest where these lines meet, or on some of these lines that can make your picture be so much more cinematic. This is what we used from TV. So, and you know, image composition in general, there's nothing wrong with using that.
This moment is right here, right now.
I do like that,
it's
though.
Real.
And, you know, for the baby, we completely lose orientation. Are we now under the table? Can you even see the baby?
This moment is.
Because it looks like the baby is
right here, right now.
On eye level.
This moment is real.
And that's actually, you know, that's also a high art. Like, holding eye contact across cuts. So difficult. Also for live action, you know, if they film live action films and sometimes they realize, the actor was looking far too high, like he should have been looking down or something like that. Very hard to fix sometimes in post. Like, eye direction is so difficult. So in this case, I would have directed the gaze a little more down, and maybe give some more hint about where this is. You know, maybe have... And, you know, there's no three-dimensionality here. Why not have some... construct some perspective, and don't be afraid of perspective. Like, you can look it up. It's pretty easy. You have the vanishing point, and all your lines go there in a one-point perspective, and, you know, it's not that difficult to learn this. It's just, you know, a couple days, a couple rules. Of course, you know, practice is always needed to perfect anything. But the cool thing about perspective, it's really like in art, you have so many things that are difficult to learn because they just rely on building an instinct, how to make an interesting shape language, improving your shape language. Really hard to do. Even if somebody tells you, like, hey, this makes an interesting shape language, look at the contrast. You have something, a straight line here, and then you have a curve there. Wow, you can know all this, but then instinctively doing it is really difficult. But perspective, look up how 1-point perspective, 2-point, and 3-point perspective work, and that's it. You can construct it every time. It takes some practice too to master it, but you know, it's one of the easier things. It's one of the things where you can look it up and then you can do it. And some things you can look up and then you're still so far away from doing it correctly. But perspectives is one of the things that are relatively easy to master. So do that. And then, you know, again, think about the shape. The baby, we can look at the where the neck is connected, and then they're probably looking up because they need to look above the table. Maybe put the table in too, so we know where it is. You could put the baby dead center or use the lower the rules of thirds, and then construct where the feet go, and we can see the top of the feet. Yeah. I do, by the way, I do like the idea of the guy talking to a baby. It doesn't make that much sense. Like, why would the parent or whatever say, like, even if I'm not real, I don't know. But somehow it's cute. Yeah, and I think this is all that I have to say about this. Still needs a lot of improvement, but yeah, I do see potential, and yeah, it was a lot of fun to talk about this one. Let's go to the next one.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Nice. We're getting some subtlety here. We're getting some very good control over the timing, spacing, and posing. This person knows what they're doing in the animation software. Really nice. So what can I do except nitpick? Let's nitpick this one. And let's see why it is so good.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is.
I do really like how the moments, the beats, they have a very clear beat.
Even if I'm not real,
like, there is a lot of subtlety here. There's like this little head nod, but overall, this even if I'm not real is held. The head is held up.
Even if I'm not real.
But then there's this nice little subtle nod in there, which again, if you're a beginner, just leave it out. Don't do it, especially in 2D. Don't do it. Just hold the head up there.
Even if I'm not real.
But that's nice. That's it.
Even if I'm not real.
The drop is between the dialogue. That's also something that we've seen, we have seen, like, even if I'm not real, like, movement during the word that they are trying to hit. Here it's like, even if I'm not real, drop for beat. Like, there's an extra beat between the dialogue. That's so amazing. There are beats between lines in dialogue. Feel this out, and it can make it so strong.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is.
And, this introspection feels really real because there's this drop, there's a little bit of moment.
I'm not real.
Looking down, we talked about that before. Very valid beat. And then we see the conclusion of this introspection. Like, there's a moment of thinking.
This moment is.
This moment is as if it just popped into his head.
I'm not real. This moment is.
Like, feel like that is high acting. It felt like the character didn't have the words ready yet, and the moment right before he says them is when the words come to his mind, and then he speaks them. That's how we very often work as humans. We do have the words very often, before we say them. There are people who can, have their brain or their tongue. They can immediately say what they're thinking. But usually, there's a beat where I'm about to say this next. Just think about it. If you talk with another person and they're like, oh, last time we went to this nice Chinese restaurant. In this moment where I say, like, we went to a nice Chinese restaurant, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I haven't been eating Chinese in a long time. I was in this one place once. What was that? That was this funny story. Like, you would immediately, like, the moment they say, if we went to this restaurant, you start to think about your own restaurant story, maybe start preparing to say it, but the other person is still talking, so you're not interrupting them. The Chinese restaurant, they had this great buffet, and blah, 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 and you're like, yeah, I was at a buffet too. And then when they stop talking, you would say the words that you prepared in your head. And this is something that happens here too.
This moment is. Even if I'm not real, this moment is.
Even if I'm not real? Yeah. This moment is, like, he's putting it into words, finally. There's that one thing that I don't like about this animation, is how quickly his head snaps into place at this point here.
It is.
That one.
It is. It is.
It feels like there are two axes and there's one all of a sudden taking over. Like the motion starts and then one axis already suddenly gets much stronger than the others and finishes the rotation. It doesn't feel like all axes are rotated at the same time.
This moment is.
Which, you know, you don't always need.
This moment is.
Yeah. It feels like, not sure if I'm 100% correct about this, but it feels like this motion is starting and then much later, like this one, this axis. And then much later, this axis is starting to move his head. And this one actually has a huge ease, so you have a little bit of a snap.
Moment is.
See that?
Right. It is. It is.
And I think because this is such a slow and subtle thing, like sometimes there's a place for this. Sometimes there's like, even if you change like mid, like you're having a thought mid rotation, like you could do that. You could rotate and then lift your head. That could happen. But the more smooth version of this is to have it all happen at the same time. To have an arc that has this axis and this axis at the same time. And you would have this complex arc. But like here, I feel like it's starting to move and then it's turning. Starting to move and then the other axis is turning. Which I don't like here. Because it's such a subtle...
This moment is.
It's such a subtle scene.
Right here, right now.
This one again I really love.
Here, right now. Right here, right now.
Can you see how he's stressing every word? Again, very dangerous thing to beginners. To be like, right here, right now. Could totally ruin your animation. But this animator pulls it off.
Right here, right now. Right here, right now.
Do you know why it works? Because there's one strong right here, right now. There's like, on the right, there's a bigger beat, and the other ones are very subtle. 2D animation beginners, don't even think about that. Don't do that. Just hold the pose.
Right here, right now. This moment is real. Right here, right now. This moment.
Love the anticipation.
Right here, right now.
Up, down. A little bit of an offset, like the head does that up, down motion earlier than the hand.
This moment now. This moment now. This moment.
Nice. And then...
This moment is real.
This is so delightful. This moment is real. Like, look at the eyes.
This moment is real.
And the lips, the lip sync.
This moment is real. This moment is real.
Nice, nice. Oh my god.
This moment is real.
This is again an example for... It's not necessarily a thought that is being savored here. Like, this moment is like he's already in the moment. He's taking the moment in, closing his eyes. Closing the eyes for a long time. Very big beat. Very big sign of understanding, of calmness, of connection, of like introspective, like, oh, I'm feeling inward.
This moment is real. This moment is real.
So very cool choice to like this moment and, you know, really going into the moment with your eyes closed. Really nice. But then the icing on top of this cake is the real. That flashing of the white mouth shape. It's just such a nice beat. Super strong beat. Super strong, juicy, savory beat. And then real. So nice.
This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than it's real?
I would have opened the eyes a little bit later. Just maybe 2 frames or 3 frames later, because it's immediately dissolving this nice, like, wonderful moment. Maybe this person tried it and there wasn't enough time, but I wouldn't have dissolved this so quickly.
It is real. I mean, what's more, it is real.
And you know, then the old trick of like, introspection, thinking again, and then the words come to mind, and then he's speaking again.
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
So much subtlety in the shoulders.
I mean, what's more real than
there's a shrug in there.
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love? Even if I'm not.
And here's the second thing that I really do not like about this animation.
Someone they love.
Is to immediately dissolve the someone they love. I see that so often in 11-Second Club things. They're like hitting the last beat, someone they love, and then they dissolve the pose. Or I'm like, no, let the last impression be the accent, be the someone they love. Like having that connection, having that warmness, let that sit, let that intensity hang in the room. And you know, in a feature film, if this was a longer scene, of course you would dissolve it again. But just let that last pose, that last accent, really unfold its full effect. And especially if it's someone you love, why not like connect, intensity, hold it, don't dissolve it. That's the second thing that I do not like about this one.
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Oh.
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love? Even if I'm not.
I would have just loved this pose to be held, this last one. Especially because you could hold that pose, this one. No. This one, and then have the other person react. Like you're handing it over. You have a left to right motion, already pushing the eye a little bit more to the right, and then that other character moves their chin. Like that could have been a nice like pass over, but instead you're doing 2 motions at the same time. The one character dropping down and this character reacting to it, making it very muddy in this last 10 frames. Am I too nitpicky? I'm like, this is a wonderful animation. Like, I hope I'm making this very clear. This is high quality animation. We might have seen the winner right there. But yeah. Really like it. So let's give it a super awesome. I think it is super awesome. I think it really deserves that. All right. Yeah, if you do like the way how I give animation critiques, you might want to check out our group mentoring. You can find more about it about our group mentoring on animatorisland.com/group mentoring. It's one of our Patreon tiers. If you support us in the group mentoring Patreon tier, you can join a secret meeting every month where you can bring whatever animation, story, or character design, or whatever in the field of art and animation you're currently working on, and I will give you my input, my feedback. I'll draw over it, and I will help you to make your projects better and give you guidance on how to build your skills. And yeah, we're doing that once a month, and it's a really good, like, if you really want to finish a project and you need an accountability group, then our group mentoring group might be the place for you. You can show your progress every single month, get feedback not only from me, but also from the wonderful members we have in that group. They always bring their unique perspective and great ideas. And yeah, if you enjoy the way how I give critiques, this might be the place that you want to look for. If you just want to support me so I can make more live streams, you might want to check out our Patreon on patreon.com/animatorisland. You can support me with a small donation to help me to make more animation tutorials and more live streams like this. And yeah, if you're interested in the group mentoring, here is the link again, where you can get individual advice for your project, whatever it is, animatorisland.com/group mentoring. Okay, we're going to a little break, and then we're going to continue looking at the 11-Second Club animations and rating them. I'm really excited to dive into the next animation with you. But you know, oh boy, this animation was really awesome. I'm looking forward to rating a few more with you. See you in a little bit. And welcome back. We're gonna continue with a look at the 11-Second Club competition entries from November 2022. There's still currently no winner announced. We are rating them as we are randomly seeing these competition entries. If you're just now joining us, the 11-Second Club is a competition for animators where you're given a line of dialogue, pieces of dialogue, 11 seconds about long, that anyone can animate to whatever they want. And yeah, we are rating some of these wonderful animations and learning from them how we can improve our own stuff. I saw that Darren T just joined us right before we went to break. Hope you're still here. Nice to see you. I hope you're doing fine. I had one of your Open Tunes tutorials. Darren T does excellent Open Tunes tutorials. If you want to learn Open Tunes, check out his channel. Really awesome stuff. I checked out some tutorials about how to do the shading layer, the shadow and the light layer in Open Tunes, and we're gonna use that knowledge in one of the future live streams when we're gonna do the special effects, the shading on the wizard kitty animation that we started a while ago on stream. We're still gonna finish that, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Welcome back, Maria. Electricity went out. Oh my, that's quite annoying. I'm glad that you're back. Yeah. Hilly is also still there. Checked out one of them. Great. I would say we continue right away with some 11-Second Club entries. We saw this wonderful one already. Let's see if it's gonna. There's something even more awesome coming down the road, but I think we might have seen the winner here. We will see. So, next one. Oh, let's stop the music so we can fully appreciate the dialogue here.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Okay, interesting.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is.
Going a little bit into the uncanny valley. Like, what is that? That is like a digitized human from like photograph.
This moment is.
I love the opening up with the eyebrows. Very good acting. Accent makes sense here.
This moment is.
This moment is.
This moment real. This moment is. Right here, right now.
And really good, like what we're talking about, keeping the eye, the gaze, making intensity by modifying just the lean forward.
Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
I feel like the breathing here is a little bit unfocused. Like, why not have the character be almost completely still? Yeah, you can totally do that.
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love? I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
It's so difficult to judge with this, like, super realistic texture, but not quite, right? Yeah, it has a little bit the feeling of a deep fake. That's true. It must be something like that. Like, there must be something animated to the texture, because the way how the other character opened the eyes, like there are even changes happening to the texture.
Moment is. This moment is.
Like to the lines there, and I don't know. It has this weird feeling of a projected face, but his wrinkles and everything change.
Moment is. This moment is. This moment is.
This little thing that is happening here. This moment is, and in that moment, his cheek and the wrinkles tense up.
This moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real.
No idea how exactly this is made.
More real than a person trying to help someone they love.
I don't know. For that breathing, I think a little more like just keeping it in the upper body. Maybe have the shoulder drop how they are done here. That might work together. Or I would only opt for the breathing. But really difficult to say. Very difficult to judge. I like the intensity that this one has. But, you know, it's a little bit uncanny valley-ish. It's nothing that I strive to find in my animated work. I don't like these super realistic things. I think the person had a feeling for the beat, for the intensity, for the eye darts. There are a lot of eye darts in here at just the right moments, just the right beat. It's just the style is not my cup of tea, although I'm fascinated by how exactly this was made.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Maybe to add on the acting, like he could have like looked away, looked down at the end to give him a little bit more of an extra beat. LA Aldine is suspecting maybe a meta human rig. Yeah, feels like some kind of like a 3D scan person for VR.
Real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Like that moment where the eye dart is, I think there could have been a bigger change in expression. I sometimes I like the subtlety of an intensity. You all know that. I said it multiple times.
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
But I think this person could get another beat because he's already in this position right from the beginning. I think a second pose would have been a nice addition. Boy, this is an enigma to me. this animation. I still like it though. Whatever it is, however it's done. Let's go on.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Okay, well, what is happening in the end there?
Even if I'm not real.
Like, again, from the thought, decent. So first of all, you know, once again, we don't have any cinematography. The framing is not well thought out. There could have been some like more classic, like rule of third kind of framing. The poses are lacking details and are getting muddied. Like if you're doing something like this, you would try to find a line of action. And, you know, a possible line of action would be something like this. Where you could really use that to bring some three-dimensionality. I do like the look down. Maybe let's keep that. Let's reverse that because that is actually a thing that I like. This three-dimensionality here. That is quite decent. We can see the top of his head a little bit because he's tilted down. That is good shoulder line. If your shoulder line is straight, I would advise against straight shoulder lines unless you have a very clear reason. It's like a moment of contrast where the shoulder lines are very stable, very straight. Usually it's very unlikely that the camera will get the person exactly straight, especially if the person's looking at another person beside the camera. And then in general, just use the shoulder line to communicate. Maybe the person is guarding themselves off a little bit, then the hip would go in the other direction. We could use a little bit more of a line of action, like this feels very samey. So I would advise trying a line of action going through the entire body. This construct here is really muddied, like the thumb is running into like the shape with the upper arm and the lower arm, and you can't really see the hand in contrast. It's also very far. The elbow is, I think, behind his body. That's a very odd thing. Like if you do these this pose, usually you have the elbow in front of your body to be like, me. If you're doing this, look where my elbow is. Look at, if this was a cylinder, it's facing the camera, it's facing towards you. What the person has here is the elbow going away and the hand coming just forward just to do this on top of the chest. That's not very natural. Work with the shoulder roll. That's an often, like in 3D, that's an often neglected controller. To get the shoulder line, do use the upper body controller. Get the general, like this, or the general, like, curvature, three-dimensionality. And depending on what the shoulder does, you have this shoulder roll coming towards, rotating towards the screen, rotating up or down. See that? My upper body stays the same, and I can move this shoulder up and down, give it a completely different shoulder line and stuff like that, move it forward, move it backwards, but the rest of my body stays relatively static. Often neglected controller. Don't use it all the time, like if the arm goes like all over the place, all angles, that's usually wrong. Like, we don't do shoulder rolls the entire day. It's usually only for a reason that we lift the shoulder blade. Yeah, but I think that angle is wrong to have for this, have the elbow behind the body. I don't think that is working, and it's also getting a little muddy with the rest of the arm. So what I would suggest instead, like, build a nice pose with the fingers. Maybe you do a little bit of a variation, like you group 3 fingers together and have one finger a little bit spread out, is like the most mundane way of doing this. And then have have the thumb separate from the negative space there to build a more interesting pose. I think they're already trying to breaking up the symmetry, which I think is really good. Like, make sure that you're not mirroring this one exactly. Maybe the next one is tilted a little bit more like that, with the thumb being further up or down. Maybe you have it like this. And then you have it, the elbow also a lot further down. My voice is already going away from so much talking. This looks very symmetric, but yeah, you could do even more to break the symmetry. Then we have this is probably all IK.
This moment is right here, right now. This moment is real.
Yeah, this feels like an IK controller. You should really only use the IK controller on the hand if you place it on a surface. If you place the hand on a wall or on a table surface, use the IK controller. Otherwise, use forward kinematics, where you animate, where you control the upper, lower, and the hand from the top down. And don't use IK for free floating poses, because if you do that, you might put the IK somewhere and then move the rest of the body, and it looks like the hand is stuck to an invisible object there in mid-air. Yeah, so don't use IK. And then I feel like in the end, like, there's no real gesture here. What's happening?
This moment is real.
What is this?
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they...
What is this? What is this pose? When was the last time you were standing like that? I don't think this is a good choice for a pose.
Love. Even if I'm not real, this moment is.
Do like the promise though, in the looking down and looking back up. That's already a feeling out the acting beats, feeling out this introspective moment. I would give it a little more room.
This moment is right here, right now. This moment is real.
And there's a lot going on.
What's more real than a person trying to help
Okay, so I think what could help here is a very organized workflow. Think about your poses. This person obviously ran out of time in the end, I think, because, you know, that's not a good pose. Plan all your poses right from the beginning in 3D. Start not doing timing. Just do pose 1 on frame 1, pose 2 on frame 2, pose 3 on frame 3, and so on. Just flip through them. Just go through them one after the other. Don't think about timing it. Just find good poses. And yeah, think about the line of action, the silhouette, stuff not blocking other stuff weirdly, having like a very readable pose where you can see all shapes very clearly. And yeah, I think I have all about this one. So, next one. There's Maria says, I think part of the problem here is that there's an uncertainty in motivation, which is a shame because there's potential in the first half. Yeah, the first half feels a lot stronger. And, you know, a concept can really help you. If you really know, who is this person? Who is he talking to? Who does he feel in the end? Is he talking to a lover? Is he talking to a friend? Is he talking to... Is he a made-up person from the friend behaving how that friend would expect him to behave? Like, you can, like, especially with this one, you can make such interesting setups. And then you kind of also, it prevents you from dissolving into, like, meaningless poses in the end if you didn't... yeah, setting motivation, really good, really important thing to do. Yeah. Let's go to the next one.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Okay. We're confused about splitting the dialogue in two? Okay.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is.
There are a lot of poses in these 84 frames.
Even if I'm not real,
if you plan something like this, to have something really big in there, like
not real,
that, oh my god, I can't even.
I'm not real.
I can't even really pause on this. That's a really big decision. But it could be a decision that could carry this animation. You know, like the realization, I'm not real. Even if I'm not real, like, why not? That could be an excellent setup. Like, even if I'm not real, you know, having kind of like a crisis, like, I mean, I'm not real, but I'm here to help you. Interesting setup. Could work very well. But to be like just a split second and then go back up again, like not even hold it. You gave it away immediately. Like, it is on a unique, like Maria is saying, the actions of the receiver so unique too. Yeah, it has unique ideas, but it kind of like doesn't commit to them all the way through. Which, by the way, analyzing your animation as if it's somebody else's, really helpful. Improving a film, making a film, is constantly analyzing your film as if you are in film class. If you've never gone to a film class, go to one. See how people analyze other people's films. See how people analyze acting, how people analyze motivations and writing. Because you have to do it with your own film all the time. Doing a film just from your gut and from feeling, there are some geniuses that can pull it off, that can animate something and then be like, yeah, I didn't really think about it. Just felt right. There are people who can do that. But also, it's a lot easier to animate with a team if you can voice and say exactly what you are looking for, why you're doing this. If I was directing the scene with the crumbs, with the breadcrumbs that I find here, I'd be like, hey, this is important. This person is just realizing that he's not real. Like, put that in the entire animation. I'm not real, but I mean, I'm okay, then I just help you and then I disappear. That's a pretty amazing, unique mind space for this character to have, but you need to put it down. Best is to put these things in writing, to be like, the green character just realized he is not real, but he decides to help the other character before he fades. That could push your entire animation in a very special direction that nobody else in this competition animated. And you can always, like, if you lose track, like, I'm doing this pose, you could always be like, is it communicating that? No, it's not communicating that. Then I'm gonna cut it out or change it. Yeah, so look for that. Let's see what Maria is saying here. Learning how to listen to, receive, and give critique is so vital. My playwriting life is equally divided between writing my own stuff, reading others, and communicating thoughts about each. Yeah. It's a skill. It's a skill that has to be learned. And, most of the time we don't like critique. Like, especially if it's your 11-second club, I don't know. I mean, I guess too, because people are rating your skill. This is about your skills being on display and being rated, which is difficult, which is tough. It's tough to hear like, hey, you're missing the basics. Could be something that you could hear when you submit yourself to the critique of the 11-second clubs. And that's not always what you want to hear, but sometimes what you have to hear. But if you want to make a good film, perfect animation, you need to subject yourself to this. And you don't have to take other people's advice in, I have to literally do what they tell me to do. Please don't, like, even for me, if I tell you like, hey, try this pose differently, that's what popped into my head right this moment. Doesn't mean it's completely right. It's a possible thing to do. And for myself, I try things and then I realize like, yeah, maybe that other idea was better. That can happen too. Like, if I give you any advice, you don't have to take that advice specifically. But I think what you should always listen to in critique is, why does someone have to say something about this part? Why is this part pulling the person out of the illusion? Why is somebody being pulled out of the illusion here? That could be because of what they're suggesting to fix, but it could also be something else. You could decide to do something completely different there. Taking critique and working with critique is a very big topic on its own. Really, really fascinating. So where were we? I like this pose. I like the setup, and I think it's a shame that it is gone in like 2 frames.
I'm not real. This moment.
Oh my god.
I'm not real.
We have this. We have a huge anticipation, and he's coming closer.
This moment.
There's also this big problem of we experiencing our animation in slow motion. So we're like, oh, I don't feel like this aspect is in there yet. Oh, and there's this other cool pose that I could do. And because we're experiencing in slow motion, we put in a pose, we put in another pose, we put in another pose. But we don't need all these poses. Like, usually, we saw in that Uncanny Valley one, you can do just 2 poses for the entire 11 seconds. You can do just 1 pose and just build on that slightly with a lean for the entire 11 second and can have wonderfully intense things. Equally, you could have 5 poses and make that work, but then all these 5 poses need to solve the same purpose, and I feel like they're not doing that. They are very unique poses being replaced by generic ones. Like this one we have seen so many times. We have seen this so many times.
I'm not real.
We have not seen that one pose so many times.
This moment is right here, right now. This moment is real.
I do like this person being so defensive about
More
it.
real than a person trying to help someone they.
Okay, if a character is sitting, the hip usually stays where they are. If the hip doesn't stay where it is, it's usually a more complex motion. It's like you need to to shift your weight to one side and then do some kind of a scooch over. Like if you do it without your arms, you need your legs to push this. That's kind of complex motion, and it's done a little loosely here. Like the characters are shifting left and right.
I'm not real. This moment is.
Like there's no real bounce felt in the hip. It's just being dragged over.
Right here, right now.
I also do like the right here, right now. Like that's also an aspect we haven't seen. Like we have seen like somebody giving it to them, or somebody being like right here, right now, which happens again later. The more generic thing happens again. But to be like, think about the infinite possibility. This is a cliche pose for something else. For like infinite possibilities and stuff like that. Right here, right now. This is adding to it. This is adding another information that only comes through in the pose. Love this one. Commit to it. Right here, right now. And then just drop it a little bit and be like, are you buying it, other person? Just a slight modification of that pose. That could have been nice.
Now, this moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Again, going, what's more real than going to the cliche pose and then going out of it again to another cliche pose? Bit muddy. Find something strong and just go with that. But yeah, I don't want to be discouraging to this person. Like, if you're watching this, I love that you're experimenting with poses. That's great. But do that on an extra sheet. Think about all possible poses, and then analyze your scene. Think about what is the special thing about these characters, and which of those poses do actually express that the most. Do I really need this one? Or can I just go with, the other person being like all defensive? Like that tells us more about his personality than this. This is about the situation, about being, being in a certain mindset. And this is just, I'm thinking. Yeah. So do that in thumbnailing and find the poses that you want. What's going on in the chat? There's some people I need to kick. Some spam. Excuse me, I have to put out some spam in the chat. Boop. Hide user. So sorry. I really need to look into chatbot moderation again. Okay. So let's have a look at the next one.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Oh my god, I really love this one.
Even if I'm not real, this moment is. Right here, right now. This moment is real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Oh, this is so lovely. I really love this one so much. I love how, like, on so many levels. There's a character design level. There is, the acting choices are just wonderful. I look at how much.
I'm not real.
How much is happening for that shrug, and I like how like solid and squish like three-dimensional the rest of the belly stays. we often see that this is a problem with beginner animation, that if a character is planted on the ground, they slide around. Like the hip would slide around, the legs, the feet would slide around. Here, the character's placed solidly on the ground. The acting is done only with the upper body. And oh my god, what's happening in the upper body? Look at this delay of things. Like, there's the head going up, then the shoulders are coming up, then the shoulders are dropping down, and then the head is dropping down. There's a little bit of an offset. There's an ease everywhere. This is also something that we often see done wrong in the 2D entries. There's a wonderful ease for the arms being lifted up. There's so many drawings close to the position where they go in. There's even I feel like these spaces before the breakdown are relatively large. Like there's a certain snap to this animation. Unfortunately, I cannot go through this frame by frame, so I'm not 100% sure. But I think these, at the fastest speed of these motions, they're very large. I'm not sure if this person used the halving method here, because they do feel really large, which I like. Like for the snout, there's this moment where the snout goes up all of a sudden so much, but because there's so much ease in the beginning, and of course the lip sync helps with that too, there's so much motion already, we completely buy the head tilt to just snap up. I think the head might lose a little bit of volume there. Like, this is really good. Like, look at the horns. There's like some three-dimensionality, like the horns vanish behind the head when the head is lifted up. The ears go a little bit back. I think the whole head shrinks a little bit, but you don't care. It's just such a charming character model. The hints at the three-dimensionality are there. The horn on his nose also gives us a lot of spatial information. Like, when it's down here, you can see how the horn is like in the middle of that circle, and when it is up, it's at the border of the circle. And this really sells the three-dimensionality of that hat turn up there. And then, just the overlap of things happening at different point. The lip sync is very solid.
Even if I'm not real.
So nice. And there's not that much happening.
Even if I'm not real.
Like, there's just the most notable one is the O.
Even if I'm not real.
The rest is just that. Just going open and close.
Even if I'm not real.
Especially for the M. Like, that's such an important moment.
Even if I'm not real.
And there's not that much happening except for the O and the M.
Even if I'm not real.
And the V.
Even if I'm not real.
Like, that's all the secret that is to this lip sync. Hitting the V, hitting the M, and then the O. And the rest is just approximately the same mouth shape, and it works.
Even if I'm not real.
Lovely. And then how the mouth grows slower.
Even if I'm not real.
Smaller. Like, the corner of the mouth
I'm not real.
drops.
This moment is.
And here, that glance over with the slight head turn. No ease into that motion, which, if this was a feature film, television, why not just do it like that? Could totally work. If this was feature film, I would like to see at least one ease frame for that head turn over. But, this beat is so important. What I told you about, like, reacting to the environment, putting words in your head, getting words in your head straight, that needs its own moment. And being like, and looking over there, and then making the big gesture. Nice two-step beat. Really important, these two-step beats. And then we have some nice look just at the track, just the head. We have the dip down which makes a lot of sense because, you know, he's giving up his stable posture, so everything is dipping down. And then he's swooping in with an arc, which he has to do because the arm has to go up first, and then everything can drop down. So we get this nice, this nice drop down, drop up, and down again. This nice, complex arc. But, you know, in a decent amount of time. Really like it. And then there's a little bit, just one frame of a follow, not even a follow through. It's just a drag. The ear is arriving just one frame later. Again, feature film quality would have had nice overshoot a little bit and then bounce back. But just hinting at this, just hinting at the ear arriving a little bit later, amazing, works. Like, you know, and I have no doubt that this person could pull this off, you know, a nice ear bounce thing. It's just a placeholder for it. More than a placeholder, it's already working. Look how the legs, the feet are getting a little more relaxed. Love that subtlety. Love, that's, you know, that's the danger. And if you're keeping half of your character on a separate layer, it's to keep it there for too long. To have this, like, you know, this empathy, this warmness, this shift of balance reflected in the lower half makes total sense, even if it's just that subtle opening. And I do like that's also interesting. Like, I've been saying, like, hey, you 2D people, put in your eases and stuff. This one is not like exactly playing the easing game a lot. This is not a smooth motion. This is just hitting the edges, hitting the corners of the arcs, but it works. Because it follows a progression. Look at how her shoulders being pushed up and then going down. Like, that's all of these frames, as evenly spaced as they might be, they follow some kind of building up progression, and over all these frames the shoulders are dropped. And if you were to animate this fluently, you would put in the easing. Yeah, Hilly, possible. Maybe the person who created this ran out of time for eases. Yeah, but it's a person who's like, you know, if I need to put in the eases during a production, I could do this. And look, it's the corners. It's just the necessary corners for that three-dimensional head turn. Look at that line here. That's really making that's really selling that progression. And then, of course, she's opening up, which makes so much sense in this dialogue. And then this subtle nod from the...
This moment is real.
Real. And again, something where I said, like, don't do this is being done here. You know, whereas this moment is real. Like, hit the real and stay there. Hit the word real as an accent and stay there. Is the advice that I have been given so many times today. What is this person doing? This moment is real. Like, it's doing this real. This moment is real. Doing that hat knot on the accent and immediately going back to it. Why does it work here? Like, why does it work here?
It's real.
I mean, it's super charming. Like, there's not just a head tilt. For, you know, for 2D animation, big danger of just doing it linear, being, you know, just doing like this. But there's also a tilt in this axis, which 3D, super easy. You can go back in, do more interesting rotations. And in 2D, you need to think about this right from the beginning. You need to be like...
Here right now, this moment is real. Real.
Look how it's turning on so many axes. Real. This moment is real. I think it works because of the hold after it. This moment is real. This moment is real. And then holding it, this moment is real. I think it's the hold after it that makes it work. I don't know. I would have to like, I very rarely do this. Maybe I should. This moment is real. Ooh, yeah. And then again, you know, there's some easing missing, but you kind of don't care. And you know why? Because like these lines here, the frame before the complete stop is hinting at an ease. There's this little settle in the ears. Like most of the head is already in it. There is a subtle shift in the head, but the shift in the ears is a little bit different, and that makes it give us the illusion as if there is an ease.
It's real. I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone they love?
Ah, that you know, that's the thing with the head rub. You know what I was saying, like come up with stuff specific to the situation and the character. That is that. It makes sense that the imaginary friend is like, hey, little buddy, hey, my little friend. Only that character in that situation, that constellation, could have done that gesture. Like some of the other characters couldn't have rubbed the other character's head. But, you know, this is specific to this character, specific to the situation, specific to this moment. And that's why it works so nice. And it's beautifully animated. We have some wonderful angles here.
Trying to help someone they love. Trying to help someone they love. Real than a person trying to help someone they love.
And they're kind of doing it again, doing someone they love. You have the choice to be like, someone they love, hit it wide, love. And here it's kind of like during the entire motion back, love. I mean, I guess that works as an accent. Again, held after the monster comes into that situation.
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone?
These subtle shifts in angles.
Real. I mean, what's more real than?
You know, it goes from looking like this to this kind of tilt. You know, more like this. There's like this tilt that is happening here. Really nice. Really nice extra dimension.
I mean, what's more real than a person trying to help someone?
And then in the anticipation, during the anticipation, there's also one of these nice three-dimensional angle shifts.
More real than a person trying to help someone they. More real than a person trying to help someone they. More real than a person trying to help someone they love.
Nice. I really like that there's room for the kid hugging and the monster's just being shifted, knocked back a little bit, but not reacting yet because the reaction is a beat that comes after.
They love.
Very important. A lesser animator could have like hug, and then maybe even while the hug happens, already go into the hug back. But having the hug and just be like, just being shifted slightly, and then there's an entire beat for a nice little hug animation. Really has this moment standing out.
Help someone they love.
Yeah. Love the angles. Maybe watch the volumes a little bit more, but you know, this is something that can be done in cleanup. Yeah. I'm just missing some eases and some visual consistency, but both of these things, this animator could totally put in. I'm sure they know this. I'm sure they know what is missing to make this animation truly great. I don't think it will win, but yeah, I don't know. It could win if it was finished. Really high skill we saw here. Yeah, so let me tell you again that if you like the way how I doing these critiques, first of all, you can support us on patreon.com/Animator Island. And, it's a Patreon membership. You can give a few euros every month. That helps me a lot making more animation tutorials. You can wish for animation tutorials, what kind of content you want to see more on the channel, and I'll try to make that. I'll do more live streams as the Patreon memberships are picking up, and I'm so grateful for every bit of support. It really means a lot to me, and I want to do so many more tutorials, and I hope next year with just the people that are already supporting me there, I'm sure next year there's going to be a lot more content from us. I'm aiming at doing 2 days a week for Animator Island, and I'm very excited to see how much I can put out in that. I still want to focus a lot on quality over quantity, and I'm not sure if having 2 days a week will really help me pick up the pace, but it will certainly help me to work on a lot of things, and writing a lot more tutorials, going in depth with all the things I want to teach on this channel. And live streams are definitely going to be a huge part of this too, if you enjoy the live format. If you want, there is also a group mentoring tier on Patreon where we meet once a month to talk about your projects and your skills. I'm going to give you my input on how to improve your character animation, your story idea, your character design, whatever you're currently working on. You can bring it to the group mentoring session, and I will give you my tips and tricks on how to improve it and how to take your skills to the next level. That is the group mentoring. If you're interested in this, please check it out on animatorisland.com/group mentoring. It's one of the Patreon tiers, and we're a really nice group working on some really nice projects there. It's a lot of fun to learn and build our skills together every single month. This is it already for this live stream. Unfortunately, I gotta go. If you have participated in November's entry, in November's competition, and I haven't critiqued your entry yet, and you want me to critique it, please send me an email to Ferdinand@animatorisland.com. Here, I'm gonna put it on screen. Ferdinand@animatorisland.com. If you want me to critique it, I can do that in the next live stream. It has to be an 11SecondClub entry. I guess it doesn't have to be from November. If I don't get too many in my inbox, then it doesn't have to be from November, just an 11SecondClub entry. But yeah, if you participated this month and you want my critique, I can give it to you in the next live stream. Send it to me, and I can have a look at it and critique it in a very similar way from what you saw here. Yeah, thank you, Maria. Maria's one who already got a lot of my critiquing. I sometimes feel so sorry, but yeah, that I can be a bit nitpicky. But yeah, Maria has done has taken me on my offer many times, and I'm happy to give an input to her and to anyone who wants feedback on their 11SecondClub competition entries. It's an excellent way to really push your skills, push your limits, but just, one of many ways to practice animation, and, other ways like just practicing body mechanics also important. I'm not saying that, taking part in the 11SecondClub is the only way, but if you are on this level where, body mechanic is starting to click and you want to go into more cinematography and acting, like the 11SecondClub is an excellent opportunity to do this. Maria says, "Don't be sorry. It's what I need." Yeah, I'm always happy to give feedback and to give input. I'm doing this for a living. I'm an animation supervisor, so I'm in the wonderful position that people do work and then I can tell them how to change their work, and then I don't have to change it because they have to change it. It's a wonderful job. No, but I'm of course also animating myself, and then other people letting me know what I can do better, which, that's how it has to be. Give and get feedback, I guess, to become better animators using that opportunity. And I'm just rambling at this point now. I hope you had a good time with this live stream. I know I had. I really enjoy the conversation that we have in the chat. Thank you so much for everyone for watching, for participating in the chat. Let's see if we have some music to play us out. Yeah, as always, keep on animating, enter the 11-second club, and stay creative. Don't burn out though, and have a fantastic week. Yeah, hope to see you soon again in one of our live streams. Bye bye.